All right, I have to leave the glasses on because I have to do some reading. I've got some notes here. Look out. I actually have notes for this video, which is very unusual for me. And I would just riff, just spill the beans like I normally do, just chop it up that way, but I'm afraid I'm going to miss something. And you know that my elocution tends to be long-winded that way. I take the long way home and go meandering off, and it's just, yeah. So I don't want this to be any longer than it has to be. It's already probably going to be a little bit lengthy. I'm going to try and keep it civil. We're talking about hypertension. Hypertension, man. And I've made videos touching on this topic previously, but right now a good brother of mine, he texted me today, and he asked me if I could give him the recipe to that blood pressure stew. So, for that brother, I'm going to put, and for anybody else interested, there's a video. It shows me preparing it. It shows me eating it. It's delicious. Shows the whole thing. So you can get everything you need right from the video. But I'm going to put the link to the video in the description of this video so that you'll have an easier time of actually finding it and singling it out amongst the videos that I have. I use chicken thighs. I like the thighs. You have to get good ones because thighs tend to be fatty anyway. I like the good chicken thighs. And and as always, if there's like an overabundance of fat that I can trim, if there's the overabundance of fat, I'm not going to buy it. But if there's fat that I can realistically just trim, I will trim that fat before I throw it in there, before I utilize it. But the thighs, it's one of those meals. It's a very rare time that I actually choose thighs over some other chicken component. But the thighs actually seem to me to taste the best in there, to deliver the most flavor. So it is what it is. You put in there what you want to put in there. All right, hypertension. Excuse me. No. Hypertension. So you have high blood pressure. You're hypertensive. Maybe you're on blood pressure medication, which if you're on blood pressure medication, it's still not too late. It's still not too late. But as always, I would implore you, before you just go ahead and take the pill, take a pill, just take a pill, just take a pill. Before you just go ahead and do that, ask yourself, how the fuck did I get here? When I was a kid, did I have these problems? When I was younger, did I have these problems? What's the difference between then and now? I'm a lot older, okay, but what else is the difference? Body fat, body weight, poor, shitty eating habits, less active, could be a number of things. It could be all of those things, or any one of them, all of them, combination thereof, or whatever, and there's a genetic component, as there is to everything. But so before I would just take a pill, I would absolutely, and I'm not a doctor, I know, sometimes it seems like I am, right? But actually I'm not a doctor. So, is that an ant? So, how dare you, little ant, beseech me like that? Besmirch. Little ant besmirching my physique. Anyway, I don't know. It's dusk. I get sundowners. Before I would just take a pill, I think I would do some research, do some reading, and see if you can correct it with dietary changes and lifestyle habit changes. Changing your lifestyle is what's going to keep you around for the long haul. It's going to keep you around for the long haul. There's no pill that you can just take that doesn't detract from something else along the way in your health. There's no fucking pill you can just take, medication-wise. There's no prescription that they're going to give you that something's not compromised in the taking of that pill. I'm not saying that medication isn't necessary sometimes. It is. What I'm saying is I would look at other potential remedies. Don't be so quick just to take a pill and relieve yourself of that fucking obligation of managing your own health and ultimately your life, because that's what it comes down to. It's your quality of life. It's your life. It's your literal life. As you start to get older, it's literally your life. It's literally your life. You need to make lifestyle changes. Look, it may seem insurmountable. A lot of people, I know, you've gotten into this rut, or it feels like a groove, but in some regards, it's a fucking rut. You've gotten into this rut where you're taking care, you're being responsible, you're being so responsible for everything else in this world. You know, you're paying all the bills, you're looking out for other people, you're doing all the things that you need to do. You're reliable and steadfast, but can you rely on yourself to take care of yourself? Are you taking care of you, man? Who's looking out for you? If you're not, who's looking out for you? All right, some things you got to take care of yourself, man. And these are those kinds of things, your health. So let's get on with it. All right, the American Heart Association warns that sodium, we'll talk about sodium here, and its impact, or its influence. Sodium in our diet isn't actually coming from the salt shaker. Sodium in our diet, so says the American Heart Association, isn't actually coming from the salt shaker. Most, the overpredominance of cases, it's coming from our diet other than the salt shaker. It's coming from as much as 70%, they say, comes from packaged or restaurant foods. Packaged or restaurant foods, as much as 70%. So before I would worry about that table salt, and then, or people, well, you should have Himalayan salt. Okay, so what is the difference between the two salts? Table salt and Himalayan salt. There's a difference. There's a big difference, actually. There are people that are trying to minimize this. You'll see all kind of articles about this, and you'll look it up. You Google it if you don't believe me, and it'll say it's almost no difference. It's almost no difference. It doesn't add up to a hill of beans, the difference. I'm here to tell you it does. Every little bit helps, man. And it does add up. It does add up. And the reason it adds up is because iodized table salt is iodized, right? It's got iodine added to it. We need iodine. Most people are iodine deficient. So we need iodine. Okay, so what's bad about that? Well, iodine naturally occurs in salt. Okay, so let's go backwards a minute. The table salt that you're used to seeing, it comes from underground, an ancient layer of seabed. That's where that shit comes from. Himalayan sea salt comes from the Himalayas. Himalayan pink sea salt. The difference is that, and it has iodine, naturally occurring iodine. It has a lot of trace minerals and other things in it that don't really amount to much because they're there. They're there, so they fucking count. They're there. And it has all kinds of shit in it, naturally occurring. But the iodine aspect of it, iodine, the salt, table salt that they add iodine to, when do they ever add any nutrient to a food item that you buy in the grocery store other than when, through processing, they have stripped it of its nutritional value? Yeah. Okay? Like when you see orange juice and it says, with added vitamin C. Why would you add vitamin C to orange juice? Because you process the shit out of it through pasteurization, through a particular pasteurization process that stripped the vitamin C out of it to the degree that the FDA will not allow you to call it orange juice. It is now orange drink. You've taken oranges, you've reduced it and turned it into an orange drink. It's not technically a juice anymore. It doesn't meet the minimum qualification to be a juice nutritionally. And so they add and fortify it with, in that case, vitamin C, because if they make it a certain marker, if they can reach a certain minimum amount, then now we can call it orange juice. See? Some dirty dealing going on there. You think, oh, that's great, they're adding vitamin C. It's not. Yeah. They're doing the cheapest that they can do to be able to make the most profit. They want to still call it vitamin C, that's what they got to do. So, but if they didn't process it the way in which they've processed and pasteurized it in the first place, it wouldn't be stripped of all its fucking nutritional content. All right, so it goes the same thing with salt, with table salt. It's processed to the degree that it strips so much out of it that they have to add iodine. So it's iodized salt. Okay, well, all salt is iodized. All salt, naturally, iodine occurs in the salt. But through processing, it strips it. This is what I believe, that they strip so much out of it that they have to add it back. That's what not that they do it to be nice guys or by choice, but they have to. Okay, so when they tell you table salt, Himalayan salt are no different or not enough to amount to anything, I call bullshit. I think it is different. But I digress. As always, that's nothing new. Table salt, or not necessarily table salt, Himalayan salt, the salt you're adding to your food doesn't seem to most people to be the huge problem. The problem is the sodium that's in the processed shit that you're eating day in and day out. The processed stuff, the shit, the garbage that you're eating in restaurants and every other thing. So at least you need to have salt. So at least, adding your own salt, your own sodium, adding your own salt into the diet, okay? We're talking about the bad shit in most people's lives that needs to be eliminated or needs to be greatly and vastly reduced is the sodium content that they're ingesting from restaurants, from eating out, from boxed, canned, overprocessed garbage. Food that they're eating. You need to clean that up. So the salt, the sodium that you add that's contributed into your diet from your own salt that you flavor your foods with or whatever, I'm saying you don't have to be so heavy-handed with the damn salt, but the point is that the biggest offender, don't think, oh, well, I'm just not going to add salt to my food. Look, if you're still eating crap outside the house, if you're eating garbage, fast food, and you're eating trash, you're cooking shit in a microwave, coming in a box, and it's frozen, and all this other horse shit, all this overprocessed stuff, stop to read the label. Read the ingredients. Start to read labels. So that's the first thing you need to do. You need to start to read the labels. Pay attention to what you're ingesting. You're putting in your fucking body. Do you pay attention to the fuel you put in your car, for God's sake? I only use high test. I only put high test in the motorcycle, in vehicles. It's all I use, high test. I don't necessarily use it in like a gasoline-powered weed whacker and shit like that. But I use it in all the vehicles, high test. Always, right? If maybe you don't do that, that's fine. But if you heard or you believed that there was a fly-by-night generic gas station down the corner and that, the likelihood that they might have water in the gas or some shit like this, maybe you don't pay attention to any of this shit, that you'd rather use at least a name brand or there's a newer station or whatever the fuck, right? Some people think more about the oil that they put in their car, the gas that they put in their car, than the foods they put in their own body, which doesn't make sense. Car. They're never going to stop making them. They're never going to stop making them. And they're all over the place. You can even bring them back from the dead. You can't do that with you. Not necessarily. I mean, they may be able to first responders or whatever, or they may get you on the operating table, bring you back. But once you're gone, you're fucking gone, right? The car can sit in the junkyard or be left to sit in a barn somewhere for 20 years. And somebody can come along, and if they're enthusiastic enough and have the skills and the resources, they can bring it back. So don't treat your body, at least treat your body at least as good as you treat your fucking vehicle. All right. So what can you drink? Drinks you can do to roll into your diet, some liquid nutrition that's going to help to reduce blood pressure. Beet juice, celery juice, pomegranate, cranberry, herbal teas like chamomile and hibiscus, shit like that. Apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar. You're going to have to Google and get familiar with all this shit, man. Do some research. You're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to do some research. Apple cider vinegar. Raw apple cider vinegar with the mother. The stuff that looks like shit that's in the grocery store. The stuff that's all cloudy and it looks like there's all kind of strings and shit, stringers through it and all kinds of bullshit. That's the one you want. That's the one you want. Oh, okay. Apple cider vinegar. So it's good for heart health. It's good for digestive health. It's considered a superfood. So the main component in apple cider vinegar may contribute to helping you lower your blood pressure. It does all kind of other great things. So include it. It may help to reduce blood pressure is known as acetic acid. And how the mechanism through which they believe that this acetic acid helps to lower blood pressure is because it reduces an enzyme called renin in your body. And renin is responsible for high triglycerides, thickening of your arterial walls, increases blood pressure. And this just all folds in on itself. It becomes extrapolated. If if you narrow the pathway, the artery, the pathway for which the blood has to flow, smaller diameter, because the walls are plaques built up on there and thickening the arterial wall, you're raising your blood pressure right there in and of that in itself. Oh, triglycerides, thickening of arterial wall due to plaque buildup. High triglycerides may also be a sign of metabolic syndrome. So what is metabolic syndrome? Something you don't want. It's a combination of high triglycerides, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, low HDL, which is your good cholesterol, and too much fat around the waist. All right, so I got a couple drinks here. Here's a couple recipes for a couple of drinks. You know, you already got the blood pressure stew. You're already going to find out what foods you need to eat. Basically, anything that's going to help vasodilation, anything that's going to help open up these arteries and get things flowing through there. You also, there are certain supplements that you can use if you are not using powdered L-arginine, and I use the NOW brand. It's the best I've been able to find. I use NOW powdered L-arginine. It tastes like garbage. You do not want arginine HCG. You don't want that bullshit. It's fucking worthless. You want L-arginine. Okay? I only use the L-arginine 3 to 4 times a week. I've been doing it for about 15, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I can't keep track. I have almost no plaque at all. Like it's unseen, the low amounts of plaque that I have in totality in my entire body. And that's what they credit L-arginine with doing. It breaks down plaque and prevents the buildup of plaque. And it's a vasodilator. It helps to dilate. It is a precursor to nitric oxide. You cannot take nitric oxide. It is a gas. But you can take precursors. People think citrulline is your precursor that you really want to take. Well, if you're worried about staying alive longer, you can take citrulline. I take citrulline. But the L-arginine is the lifesaver, as far as I'm concerned. L-arginine, 3 to 4 times a week. The dose is going to be body weight dependent. So for myself, I'll take 10 to 12 grams of L-arginine. You need to build up to this dose. You need to build up to it. Okay? So the L-arginine, anything that's a good vasodilator, anything going to keep the blood flowing through there. Now here's my recipes for some raw apple cider vinegar with mother drinks. One's a honey drink. And with that, we want 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon raw liquid honey, 1 to 1.5 cups warm water. Simple as that. You can drink this with meals. Drink a couple times a day. Drink it once a day. If you don't drink it none a day right now, then even once a day is 100% more than you're doing it now, right? Small steps to the moon. It is definitely going to help with digestion, every other freaking thing. This is just one thing. It's one pellet in that shotgun shell that you're trying to take out that high blood pressure with. You're trying to bring that high blood pressure down. You understand? Then there's a cayenne pepper tonic. There has to be cayenne pepper. Because you know, cayenne pepper, that's our thing, man. Right, cayenne pepper, I could get into a whole long diatribe about the benefits of cayenne pepper in and of itself. Cinnamon, all that shit, right? All right, so cayenne pepper tonic. It's 1 glass of warm or hot water, 2 tablespoons apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1.5 to 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a dash of cayenne pepper, however much you want. Now, somebody like Burl, he put more cayenne pepper in there. Myself, I put a little heavy on the cayenne pepper. Heavy doesn't mean a lot. You know, heavy is, it's relative. It's relative. All right, so those are 2 drinks you could try. Oh, but I mean, do you get the idea? These are the things that you need to do. Let me see. I had another note here. Yeah. You know, so basically lose weight. Think about that one. Do you need to do that? Read the fucking labels. Pay attention to what you're putting in your body. Read the labels. Get moving. Get moving. And pump iron. Pump iron. Pump iron. Get moving. Pump iron. Move. You need to exercise now. Remember when we were young, we all ran around all over the place. We had boundless energy and all that shit. a lot healthier, you know, unless you were saddled with some kind of fucking genetic ailment or something that you had to go through or whatever. But relativistically, wherever you were as a younger person, you probably have more health issues at the end of the life than you did earlier in. For most people, you know, no disrespect, not taking anything away from people who had it a different way. I'm at the most average people, you know. So this is a different stage, man. As you're getting older, you are in a fight for your fucking life. How hard are you going to fight? You're going to fight. You got any fight in you? You got any fight in you? If you got zero fight in you, then you need to get your testosterone level checked if you're a male. You need to get your testosterone level checked, man. Testosterone level's down 61% now. 61%. So that means if you went back 60, 70 years ago, 100 years ago, you would have been a man then instead of you being a man today, your test levels would smoke us today on the average. On the average. Our great-grandfathers, our grandfathers, our fathers, higher test levels, higher testosterone levels, naturally. And everybody's still worried about who's natty and who's not natty. Listen, motherfucker, whether you want to build a whole shit pile of muscle or you don't give a shit about that, you want to stay alive, I'm telling you some good shit. You know, and all things in moderation. If test level's low, augment the test level through a doctor, through a medical doctor, legally, through a prescription, you know, if it's low. Point is, you need to have some fight. You need to have some drive. If you're in bad health, it's going to be tough at first. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, man. You're in a fight for your life. You think you're not? Or are you just tired of living? You tired of living? If you're tired of living, then what's it matter? What's it matter? Just take what life fucking throws your way and then fucking just roll over in the hole and pull the dirt over you. You know? But if you're trying to rail against the dying of the light, man, you better demonstrate some motherfucking fighting for your own life. For your own life. Get moving. Lose weight. Read the fucking labels. Get fucking moving. Think about pumping some iron. Vasodilation. Get that blood flow going. Boom, boom, boom. You know, get that heart beating. I literally knew a guy. Haven't seen him in ages. I literally knew a guy. And so did Brother Carl, Brother Chip. If he is watching this video, he can chime in the comments. This is no bullshit. At Chip's gym, which this gym's over. At Chip's gym, back in the day, there was an older gentleman in there. He was like in his 50s. He looked like, maybe he was 60. I don't know. Chip can correct me. But he looked like he was old. And this fucking guy had like triple bypass or quadruple bypass. He had stents, all kinds of shit in his heart. He was in bad shape. He was fucking dying. He was barely hanging in there, but that he had made it through all this so far. So you would figure, what's that guy's quality of life like after all that? Well, he came and he joined the gym. He started getting on that treadmill. He got off all the medications he was on. He dropped, I don't know how much body fat. He was a new fucking man. He felt like a kid again. So it can be done. It can. I saw it with my own two eyes. I saw it. I was there. I saw it. It can be done. So whatever the fuck has kicked you in the nuts and knocked you on the ground, get the fuck up. Get up, pick yourself up, dust your fucking self off. You know? Shake thy dust from thy bones and arise. Check the link. Watch the video. Blood pressure stew. Try it. It's freaking fantastic, delicious, 5-star gourmet shit. Even I could make it. So you know it's not difficult. I'll catch you guys later. Best of luck to you. Stay healthy. Stay alive.